Toward an ever wider we. That's the theme of the 107th World Day of Migrants and Refugees, celebrated on Sunday, September the 26th this year. And I'm Brian Dwyer. I'm here in Toronto, Ontario. And on behalf of the Catholic Refugee Sponsors Council and the Canadian Augustinian Centre for Social Justice, I want to welcome Father Robert Stark, who is the Regional Coordinator, Migrants and Refugees Section, Integral Human Development. Father Robert, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you for the opportunity to join you. And thank the Catholic Refugee Sponsors Council for the great work that you do and the inspiring work that you do.
First of all, Father, it might be good for us to know what is the Migrants and Refugees Section, Integral Human Development.
We're a section, as you said, a part of the dicastery for the promotion of human integral development that's specifically dedicated and actually founded by Pope Francis to assist the Church in accompanying migrants and refugees and victims of human trafficking around the world, all forcibly displaced persons. And so we work closely with the Church in its effort to both welcome, to promote, to protect, and to integrate migrants and refugees and victims of human trafficking all around the world.
Those are important words that you've mentioned there. So what particularly is your role as the regional coordinator? What region are you in?
The region that I share responsibility with my team is the region that we call NAM, the North America, Mexico, Central America, and Caribbean region. We have 8 regions around the world, and so we have teams in each one of the regions. And I'm the coordinator, regional coordinator of the team in that region. And my main job is really to listen. I'm not supposed to be doing a lot of speaking. My main job is to literally listen and learn and to connect and to share the good work, the good news that is actually being created in our midst by persons that are migrants and refugees and victims of human trafficking as they journey and we journey with them, are basically listening and connecting up all those that are accompanying this journey.
Very good. And I know that you publish a bulletin, which comes out, I think, about every month. And I'll put this on the screen. This is the May bulletin called Migration and Inclusive Economy. So talk a little bit about the bulletin, who it's for, what's the purpose, please.
Okay. Well, the bulletin it started back over a year ago in March, shortly after the Pope Francis had a very dramatic event in St. Peter's Square, St. Peter's Square, when he walked through at dusk and called us all to remind ourselves and to remind the world that we're all in the same boat together, and that this pandemic was going to provide us and was providing us an opportunity to really build a new future that we really need. And so we talk about, the title of this bulletin is called Towards the Future Together, from COVID-19 towards the future together. And it's basically an effort to connect the efforts around the world of communities that are particularly accompanying migrants and refugees and the struggle with the pandemic, but the good news that is coming out of that and the best practices. So what we try to do is use this bulletin as a way to share information about what's happening around the world, specifically in regards to the effort with the efforts around the migrants and refugees with the pandemic. And this one, we actually talk specifically in relationship to how people are actually using the encyclicals, both Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, to literally guide their work and how their work actually embodies those encyclicals.
So people interested in this particular publication, I put on the screen there where they could send an email to get copies of it. So about how many, what's the distribution? This is worldwide, is it not?
It's a worldwide distribution, right? And you can actually get a lot of that information if you go on our website, which is www.migrants-refugees.org. And it will actually, you can find the not only the bulletin there, but the story and the other efforts that it's connected to. And it's also connected to a social media campaign that is also connected to the World Days for Migrants and Refugees, which is where the theme that you began with in this conversation of towards an ever wider we is very much focused.
How popular is the World Day of Migrants and Refugees? I know, for example, in my diocese, which is Toronto, the Cardinal has, or one of the bishops anyway, has a mass every year. In Vancouver, there's a big celebration every year. But I know there are dioceses that it's not really that well documented or well attended, you know. So
it's a growing phenomenon. I know that, and we're very grateful for the efforts that are being made in Canada to do that. I'm aware of the celebrations you've had in Toronto as well as Vancouver, and Montreal had quite a celebration last year, and I believe is going to have another one this year. And it's growing in its not only the participation in it, but its ability to literally reach out beyond. And so actually this year's theme of Toward an Ever Wider We is a really good expression of what is actually already building, and that is a more inclusive effort that is not just among Catholics, a much more Catholic effort, but beyond Catholics to all men and women, because the Pope addressed the message for this year's World Day of Migrants and Refugees specifically to both all Catholics who are accompanying migrants or refugees, but all men and women in the human family that are called to this effort.
I'm sure that every country that you're dealing with, the process of resettling refugees is different. In Canada, we have what's called the PSR, the Private Sponsorship of Refugees. And in other places, it's done differently. So does this cause any issues that one is better than the other, or it's just the way it is?
Well, no, it provides us the opportunity to share best practices and to learn from one another. And in fact, I meant that at the beginning when I wanted to thank you for the amazing effort that has gone on in Canada. You are a model that we have shared not only in our region, but around the world through things like the Bulletin of the World Day of Migrants and Refugees, where people can see that efforts made in other parts of the world contain some of the elements of their work and can also be complemented by introducing new things, so that the whole effort of not only the World Day of Migrants and Refugees and the COVID Bulletin is to get people to share their experiences, because that's how we learn from one another. And particularly, the more the experiences actually express what migrants and refugees are saying they need and how they want to be part of building a better future, the future that we all need together. So it's actually an exciting opportunity where every year we learn in collecting the materials how remarkably creative this effort around the world is. And I want to include you all in Canada. Your effort with refugee sponsorship is literally and very much an inspiration to other countries. And I thank you for that effort.
Well, thank you. We know that COVID has changed the way everybody does everything. And in Canada, it has as well, I'm sure in other places, that people, refugees are not arriving because the borders are closed, and it's been very difficult. And I guess it's the same in other places as well in the regions that you're familiar with, is it?
Yes, very much so. For example, this year, we just released the Pope's message for the World Day for Migrants and Refugees, along with a video. And the first video, we always have videos and other materials in the campaign that lasts usually from May right through to September. And the video that we just released was on the border in the United States and Mexico, and a US bishop, the Bishop Seitz, who was literally expressing what it means to live on a border and what an opportunity that is to be able to recognize in the encounter with the other that we are all literally in the same boat, that we are literally together, and that COVID has actually helped us in a tragic way, but in an important way, to realize that we can only come out of this together, and we will come out of it together better if we actually learn from one another. And so there on that border, there's some really exciting things happening with the diocese on one side of the border helping to set up a clinic for women who are pregnant, migrant women who are pregnant or who have just given birth. And you see the connection between the two dioceses just across the borders.
Excellent. I'm going to send a note about the bulletin to the Catholic SAWs, the sponsorship agreement holders, the dioceses in Canada, to kind of to promote this bulletin, but also, of course, to promote the World Day of Migrants and Refugees.
Thank you.
It's an important celebration. And I know that in the dioceses like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, they bring together the people from the various cultural backgrounds who are refugees and have arrived. And for them to have a meal and have mass and pray together and celebrate is a fantastic thing. It's really quite good. However, in the last year with COVID, it was all virtual. And we're hoping that by September, we may have some ability to actually meet face to face.
Right. No, and I think and last year we actually, people shared with us the really creative ways in which they overcame this idea about being locked down. In fact, they actually shared how COVID showed us that it gave us a small taste of the experience that migrants and refugees have every day of their lives in terms of having really limited mobility. They're limited in their mobility. We think of them as on the move, but they're constantly being limited in their mobility. They're being limited in their ability to actually decide how they can relate. And so it was an opportunity for people, even when they did it through Zoom, to actually share how, and migrants shared how this experience related to some people feeling more enclosed, more isolated, not able to actually live the full beauty of their potential that God created them for. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's good. That's really quite inspiring. And I think that the more we can publicize the bulletin and the World Day of Migrants and lobby the governments to help us and be active like that in terms of welcoming and integrating refugees, I think will be great. Any final comments you might have for us Canadian people or whoever?
Well, I want to actually, in terms of ending, because one of the things we try to do as much as possible in our work, not just because Pope Francis established our section, but because his words are often so inspiring that they're worth repeating, and they do it. And that's why the video that I just mentioned opens and has Pope Francis continually talking. I just wanted to close with part of the prayer at the end of his recent message. I really encourage you all to read the message for World Day of Migrants and Refugees, because he really talks about the fact that we literally have an opportunity to literally together advance towards an ever wider we. But he ends it with this beautiful prayer, and it's a prayer that would be my prayer for all of you, and is our prayer for all of you, and we ask you to join in it. As always, Pope Francis says to also remember him in your prayers. And he calls upon our holy beloved Father, that your Son Jesus taught us that there is a great rejoicing in heaven whenever someone lost is found, when someone excluded, rejected, or discarded is gathered into our we, which thus becomes ever wider. We ask you to grant the followers of Jesus and all peoples of goodwill the grace to do your will on earth, and bless each act of welcome and outreach that draws those in exile into the we of community and of the church, so that our earth may truly become what you yourself created it to be, the common home of all our brothers and sisters. Amen.
That's a beautiful prayer. Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you, Father. It was great that you were able to come on. I really appreciated your words and your inspiration. I'm putting up on the screen here a way for people to contact us if they would like some further information. There's two websites there, emails there. And once again, Father, I want to thank you for your inspiration and your good work, and I hope God bless your work and you. And we'll pray for each other, and because we're all in this together. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. And thank your family for allowing me to share some of your family time this evening, and all the families that joined. God bless you. And please remember to pray for Pope Francis.